Welcome to the Slurp. Thanks so much for joining us. Here are a couple things we're going to be covering today.
We are going to be discussing that crazy Sonic teaser we all saw, and we're going to discuss our favorite movie adaptations that we might see in the future.
We have a couple more questions like, did Smash Bros. Live up to the hype? Is Fortnite here to stay? And did God of War deserve Game of the Year?
And we debate which video game series is most in need of revival.
It's December 14th. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Michael, aka Fearless Fox. Alongside me, I've got Sean, aka Sean the Sheep, Brent, aka Muck Duck, and Cameron, our favorite little pony, Lil Sebastian. If you want to get in touch with us, you can a number of ways. You can email us at theslurp.tv@gmail.com, follow us on Twitter and or Instagram at theslurptv, or you can check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/theslurp. So to start things off today, we've got a quick clip for you. Here we go. So question for you guys. Do you guys think this is going to be a hit or a flop, and why?
Garbage.
Awful.
This movie's gonna be terrible. Not only do video game adaptations never work out, look at him. Look at the poster. It's terrible. Looks like Sonic's workout schedule is exclusively leg day.
You don't like his Nikes?
I don't like anything about him. I feel I'm gonna have nightmares about it.
You bring up a good point. Is this a big Nike ad setup?
Honestly, probably.
An hour and a half Nike ad?
Yeah, for real. It's
I
like
don't know.
in Space Jam when it was just really just propaganda for Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan. They're just going to be
Exactly.
one giant.
Okay, I've got the official synopsis. Let me read it to you guys.
Yes, please.
Small town sheriff Tom Wachowski, played by James Marsden from Westworld, and the original Cyclops. He journeys to San Francisco to assist Sonic, a super fast anthropomorphic blue hedgehog, in his battle against evil Dr. Robotnik.
I can
Played by Jim
say
Carrey.
one thing. If anthropomorphic is ever in your tagline, rethink everything.
I just want to remind you guys the last time that James Marsden was starring alongside an anthropomorphic movie, we got the holiday abomination that is Hop. Do you guys remember that movie?
The
Oh,
Easter Bunny.
Bunny.
Easter
Ayo.
Bunny.
It was awful.
I will say the cast does look good. You've got Jim Carrey as the villain, and I do think his name again, James
Marsden.
Marsden. He is a good actor. Hopefully, this isn't Hop worthy. Like, I want it to be good. I just
It is
don't.
directed by Jeff Fowler, and this is his debut as his first
So-
feature film.
Ooh,
So-
there's not a lot of things going for this movie.
So
Yeah.
here's the issue that I see with this movie is like, we have things like Detective Pikachu coming up, and everyone like fell in love with that trailer immediately from the start. But I think that it's because that we saw that it was like Nintendo puts a lot of care into their stuff, and they went and made sure that it was a company that was going to fall in love with their IP as much as they already had and stuff. And like, I don't know, this Sonic movie has been in talks with Sony, right? It's Sony for years now, and it just kind of seems like it's just this cash grab that they're just doing to do. And I think that's like the big issue with it, is that they're not in love with this character. They're just doing it to make some more money.
Yeah, I agree. And like you were saying about Pokemon, I was just watching a video the other day about this guy, since he was a teenager, has been drawing these lifelike caricatures of Pokemon. And instead of just like trying to throw some movie together, they like realized he was a huge fan favorite and they brought him on. He had no experience whatsoever, but they realized like people loved his version of their characters because it was true to Pokemon.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
that makes so much sense, because I thought, like, if we're talking about the same person, when I saw that trailer, those kinds of drawings were the first thing I thought
Yeah.
of.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Well, let's have some fun with this, since we're probably not going to have fun with the actual movie. I'll play producer. You guys each have 30 seconds to pitch your video game, movie, and title. An adaptation of a video game, and I will pick a winner at the end. wow me.
Oh.
Sean, do you want to go first?
I think I got a good idea. Okay. National Lampoon's Tetris
Oh my god.
is bringing his grandson to college for the first time, and they have to find a way to pack his room. That's it.
What the heck?
I hate that so much.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
Who's gonna star in it?
Oh
Chevy
my
Chase.
god.
Duh.
Oh, Chevy Chase. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
Are there
god.
actual Tetris characters in it? Is it
Um,
animated or?
Just every single piece of his room is like shaped either an L block. But you do have a talking T block though. An
Of course.
T
Yeah.
block.
Anthropomorphic. Yeah.
Anthropomorphic, yeah.
It must be.
If your movies don't have anthropomorphic characters in it, just prepare to lose this game.
And the T block will be fuzzy. You didn't see that coming, but
Good. I like it.
Oh my. And it wears Nikes.
yes, exactly.
Mm. Cameron?
Oh, so instead of it being based off a video game exclusively, a documentary called Bethesda Legacy Edition.
Oh no.
And it's just all about the background and the making of Fallout 76 and how they went from this pillar of RPG games to this very poorly viewed joke within the community, which is tragic because I love them so much.
I know. I actually meant to ask you about that because I know how much you love Fallout, and
Oh,
it's been a disappointing year for you.
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I would literally stream that in a second. Like you guys ever watch these like documentaries on like, oh, how this terrible movie was made, or how like whatever, like
Mhm.
Oh,
or even do it in the style of whatchamacallit, the Room movie, and
the
have
disaster artist.
Yes.
as the creator of Fallout 76. Be great.
Man,
Oh man,
That was
Oh,
rough.
heartbreak.
That was. Brent, what you got for us?
all right. Yeah. Mine is called Animal Crossing Murdersville. It's about anthropomorphic animals are disappearing in the ironically named Murdersville, and the new neighbor in town, known as the Villager, is left behind to find out the truth behind the murders. And I'm thinking, no CGI. This is like the costumes are like those old Lion Witch in the Wardrobe movies where it's just like someone's poor aunt made all the costumes in her sewing room.
I love it.
But yeah, there's so much potential.
Listen, I think we can all agree on the winner here. Congratulations, Brent. You are the first winner of Hypothetical The Slurp podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
Way to win something with anthropomorphic in it.
Yeah, that was the key right there to win.
Yeah.
And because Brent, you are the winner, Sean,
Wait, what?
you get to do the next segment. That's how things work here.
All right.
Because I won.
All right. So we all knew it was coming the minute the Switch was announced. Super Smash Bros. The Ultimate Edition. Did it live up to the name?
Oh, I would have to say that in every possible way, it lived up to the hype that I had built up in my own head. I probably played it way more than I should have. I got the full roster in about a day and a half. I probably played it a little too much. The big thing for me, the only issue I see for this game is the long-term content that's available. I don't know if adding a few more fighters and stages and some more music is gonna add as much value as with the previous game. Obviously, there's less modes with this one than there was with 3DS and Wii U, which people probably didn't even play most of those modes, but they were available and allowed you to kind of break up the monotony. Whereas this is only fighting, which I know sounds weird as a complaint, but
I see what you're saying there, but at the same time, like, while there is less modes outside of fighting, like we don't have home run contest or smash the targets. They didn't even bring back. Whoops! They didn't even bring back board the platform, or something like that. That I thought was surefire to come back for the Ultimate Edition. The amount of content in the fighting modes is more than there's ever been. We have new modes like Smashdown, and we have we have the tag team mode, and just so many different ways, spirits, and so much different ways to get to play the fighting that we have more control than ever in these fights, in these arenas. So I don't know. I'd like to disagree with you there. I think it has more content than even the last one and has a better chance of longevity for time to come, especially since we have tournament mode to go and satisfy us at parties for years to come.
And that's entirely possible. A lot of it for me might be just in my own head. I might have overdone it very quickly, so I might just be a little burnt out. So that's possible.
I agree with Cameron. I see both of your sides. I personally, I feel like I was racing with Cameron and Sean on this one to get all the characters. Brent doesn't have the game yet, so he is muted on this conversation.
Yes, I do have it.
Really?
I got it opening day. It came late on Amazon.
Oh my gosh, you didn't tell me. Okay, well, I raced with Cameron and Sean because we had a group text without you. Sorry. And I feel like because of that, I almost regret it a little, because the most exciting part is, I feel like, unlocking characters in that first kind of opening sequence. And I think now that I'm not in a spot where I'm in a dorm room or surrounded by 20-year-olds, like, it's not as fun. I still think it's amazing. It's the best game they've ever released, but the community aspect isn't there for me, and it's only because of where I'm at.
It's a sad.
That's kind of the essence of Smash. It's like without the community there, like there's not too much to do. And like, if we're just being honest, World of Light, while it's amazing, it's not a good game to sit down and play for a few hours straight. You have to play in a like really short burst to break up the monotony of it, because it gets boring quick.
Yeah.
And that's like, you touched on a good point, Michael. I felt the same way, because when Brawl came out, I was still in high school, and when Wii U came out, we were all in college together. So you never really got bored of the game because there were always so many people always available to play it.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I'm not gonna lie, I picked up the game, I played it, and it hit me that I'm grown and that I don't have people so readily available to come and play the game.
Yeah.
And I feel that's gonna negatively impact my view of the game in a way that's not the game's fault. So that sucks.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm glad I'm still in college.
Brett, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I got the game.
Sorry again.
I got it through Amazon. I didn't go to the midnight release, but I did get it. I got all the fighters within a day and a half as well. And I haven't played Smash seriously since GameCube days. I played every iteration, and I think I defer a little bit from you guys. Like, I love it too. I've never been so excited for a game. Like, I stayed up, even though I couldn't get it midnight. I was up past midnight just like watching videos. And I think for me, I love the game, and I'm not playing it constantly. I play other games, but I don't have a problem being glued to World of Light and Spirit Mode, because for me, gacha games are really like things I love, even though they could end with you spending so much money on it. But I just love the collecting idea of trying to get all the spirits, and that's what keeps me going. Like, in my head, there's a motivation, and so it doesn't grow monotonous for me as much as other people might. And I also live close to a lot of my family and friends, and so we had 5 or 6 over the other day playing 6-player Smash, and that was really fun to have. But I think if you don't have that community around you, it can get kind of stale, definitely. My 2 brothers have Smash, or my one brother does, and so we're always like near each other competing to see who has the most spirits and stuff. But like, if you're just playing this alone in your room all the time, you don't have anyone really to talk to about it, it can get pretty boring. I can see that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. We'll have to do a tournament when I'm in Florida next.
I'm good.
Oh, you sure you want to do that to yourself?
No, you don't let me get Lucas out. Okay, if you guys want to see more of an in-depth look at the game, feel free to check out our Smash Bros. Review that we just dropped last week, along with our thoughts on DLC characters. I'll drop both of those links down below and right here.
Sweet.
Brent, since you won, do you want to lead us into the next segment?
Yes, absolutely. So next up, we're going to be talking about a game everyone must know about by now. It's called Fortnite. And for me, I'm excited because this is the first season in a while where every game feels so different because they've added so much to keep it fresh. And that's something I love about this game is they keep adding things over and over again. And so I don't know if you guys have played much of it, but what do you think, Michael?
I think it's amazing. I know we've gotten to play a couple games. I'm excited for tomorrow. Brent and I are going to be making a video about Fortnite. And I think Season 7 has added just enough to add to the experience without taking away what was already there. And I think we've talked about this off screen, but I think Epic Games is a monster of a developer, and they're changing the landscape of video games as we speak. And I think I put together 3 things that we can expect Epic Games to continue to do to stay on top. 1, in this new update, they have creative mode, which is pretty much Minecraft, but Fortnite edition. And I think they're going to draw in an even younger audience. And they're kind of diversifying so that you can have these LTM type modes and creative modes where like your kid could play. But then if you like are a little older, high school, up above, like you're probably going to be a little more competitive with it. And I've heard a lot of stories about like father sons playing in different like LTM modes and stuff like cute. That. Yeah, it's just like a nice community they're building. And the second type of community they're building is competitive. And I think they're still figuring it out. But I would bet they're going to announce a Worlds or a National Championship pretty soon coming up. They just had $1 million tournament this past weekend, which was kind of ruined because they had a sword in it that no one was expecting, but we won't get into that. And then
Does Fortnite have a competitive scene?
They woo-hoo-hoo. So then they woo-hoo-hoo. The third thing is continuous updates, like we talked about. They're just doing a great job of staying with the pop culture. Like as long as we have skins and emotes that are like reflective of our culture, like people are gonna keep paying for it. Like it's a little bit of a gimmick, but I like it.
Yeah. And speaking of Epic, want to talk about the store for a second? Yeah. So I've got some. I don't know if you guys know much about the store. Do you guys know much about what Epic Store is about?
I do. I don't know if Cameron or Sean does.
I haven't really played Fortnite or anything Fortnite related since the Battle Royale actually came out. I was one of the few people to buy the actual retail of the game when it launched with the Save the World, and I haven't really touched it since the Battle Royale came out, so
Gotcha.
I don't really know much about it.
Well, how about you, Sean? Same?
Yeah, I haven't played it since Season 4.
Cool. Well, besides GOG, Epic is the first major opponent to Steam's store. And you might be thinking, well, like Blizzard has a store or Ubisoft has a store, but those stores are really they focus on their own games, but Epic will be allowing other publishers to sell from their own store. And there's a few things that separate this store from Steam's. One of the big ones is Epic plans to only take 12% of revenue from publishers, and Steam takes 30%. And what's funny is today, actually, Discord announced that they're only going to take 10% on their store. So like they're trying to one up each other.
Yeah.
And if a publisher develops a game using Epic's Unreal Engine, they're only going to take 5% from that game. And so they're trying to compete that way, in a sense of like, we're going to take less revenue and if you put your games on our platform. And it's already gotten a lot of developers are taking their games off of Steam and putting them on Epic Store right now, which is really crazy. a few other things they have a support a creator program, which means you can choose a content creator like Fearless Fox, and a game developer can choose to support them and have Fearless Fox take a percent of the revenue as well from the game. Everything that the game makes, Fearless Fox would get, which is pretty cool that they're supporting creators that way. And then starting December 14th, which is today, they are giving a free game out every 2 weeks for a year, which is crazy too.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe today they're giving out Subnautica, and so I believe, and so
Great game.
other than that, right now they only have 3 third-party games available. One is called Hades, which is a roguelite, and then Ashen, which is I hate this term, but a Dark Souls type of game, and then Hello Neighbor, the sequel, which is hide and seek. And I think they're going to be growing pretty soon. It's an attractive place to put your games on, it sounds like.
I love how they're like networking with other developers and stuff. And I don't know if you guys heard about this, but they have offered any developer, if they want to enter the crossplay realm, that they will give them everything they know about doing crossplay.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, because that means we could see way more crossplay in the future.
Oh, crossplay is a magical thing. It's like it's a step in gaming that everyone has always thought of, and it's just crazy to think that we're finally at that point. Because some of the bigger titles already support it. Like the ones that come to mind are Minecraft, Rocket League, Fortnite, and I don't see crossplay. I don't really see any downside of crossplay being universally utilized, with the exception of competitive shooters, because obviously you have the PC master race people, and whether you're a console or a PC player, they're 2 very different leagues of play, and I can't imagine too many console players would be too pleased to be matchmaking in, say, Overwatch with PC players. But I don't think there's any downside to developers pushing towards crossplay and making anybody on Xbox able to play with a friend who has a PlayStation.
Yeah.
I think we're finally at that next step.
Okay, sweet. Before we start our next segment, as you can see, Sean had to leave, but we're going to get rolling right through to part 4. And because Brent won the game we played earlier, I'm going to segue into our next one. God of War won Game of the Year this year at the Game Awards. And it honestly, it left me surprised. I'm pretty sure it left a lot of us surprised. Brent's face says it all. Do you guys agree with this award? If not, what is your pick to win? And it doesn't have to be a nominee that we saw.
Really?
It does not.
Brent, you go first on this one.
Here's the funny thing. All of the games on that list, I only played one of them, which is Spider-Man. Haven't played any of the others, so I really don't know if it. I'm sure it deserved it, but also I've heard a lot that Red Dead was in a lot of people's minds, and I've heard a lot of people say, honestly, they both could have won, but also that Red Dead was a little bit higher on the list of a lot of people's lists, and so I can't really speak onto that whether it should have won because I haven't played either of them. I do know that I like Cowboys and it has good music, but don't give me that look. But I haven't played them. But did you guys play them?
So I played Monster Hunter.
Oh, that was on the list?
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely played that too.
So the nominees for Game of the Year were God of War, Celeste, Red Dead 2, Spider-Man, Monster Hunter, and the new Assassin's Creed game, Odyssey.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I played 2 of those games. I played Monster Hunter, and I played Red Dead. I don't own a PlayStation, so I couldn't play Spider-Man or God of War. Otherwise, I probably would have. But from what I've heard about God of War, it's an incredible experience. It's one of the greatest games to ever come out on the PlayStation. I know many people who say it's one of the greatest games they've ever played, period. However, when I think of Red Dead, I can't imagine the storytelling of God of War being much better. Because Red Dead, the way they go about telling the story is incredible. You really feel like you're playing that cowboy and you're so immersed in the world. So for me, I feel like Red Dead probably should have won. They won almost every other award they were nominated for. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that Red Dead is a game that you can play and just lose hours just hanging out in the game. Whereas God of War, from my understanding of it, doesn't have that level of depth within the world itself, and to where you can interact with the world. And I feel like that amount of time and that amount of detail should push Red Dead over anything.
I agree with that. I dabbled in a couple. I didn't go really in depth to many, but I played almost all of them except for Monster Hunters and Celeste. Sean, if you were here, would talk your ear off about Celeste, and he really loved that game, and I really want to try it out. But because I've only played a couple, I'd have to go with Marvel's Spider-Man. One of the first games I fell in love with was Spider-Man on PlayStation. Came out in 2000, and Spider-Man 2 I think came out in like 2004. Those two games, oh my gosh, they were baller. And for a long time, all the Spider-Man sequels, I was like, I'm never gonna get that feeling back of wonder and affection towards the game. Like, I loved it. So yes, this is probably a nostalgia pick, but I would definitely have to go with Spider-Man because I feel like they finally captured what they used to have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Works for me. Any Marvel game that people think should win Game of the Year makes me happy. So
There you go. That one's for you. Something else for you. Question of the day.
oh yes. Oh, I love this.
Well, lots of
So-
us.
This week's question of the day: amongst all the video game franchises out there, which dead franchises, we'll say, haven't received a new entry in years, which one would you want to come back the most? For me, I would have said Ultimate Alliance, the Marvel game, but thanks to the Game Awards, I don't have to worry about that anymore.
No, you don't.
So I would have to say Jet Set Radio. A pretty under the radar gem on the original Xbox.
Great music.
One of the only rollerblading games I can say was incredible. And I don't the fan love is there. I don't know why it hasn't gotten a new one. So
Huh.
I
Interesting.
love that game. I love graffitiing over everybody because I couldn't do it in real life.
Is it? I haven't played it or even heard of it. Is
really
pretty much rollerblading.
it's okay, so it's these teenagers who form their own gangs
Power Rangers.
and they ride around on rocket-powered rollerblades, painting their graffiti all over of the city as a form of anti-establishmentarianism. The government, they're not a big fan of how the government in that game censors them, so that's their way of political outcry. I feel like I just made it sound way more sophisticated than it is, but it's a really fun game.
That sounds awesome. Does it happen to take place in New Jersey?
It does not.
Because my game does. The only game that is a 10 out of 10 that takes place in New Jersey that I know of is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Underground. That game, I think it was the first one where you can get off your board Maybe Underground 2 they did it first. But those two games, I know we've had others in the series. I think the last one came out a year ago. That one doesn't count. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Underground. That's what I want to see done, because it was similar. It was like this like rebel call to action. Like you would get to just like go graffiti stuff and go like run around on your skateboard, and then you'd see Bam Margera hanging out in New Jersey, and you're like, you kind of belong here, yeah. And it was great.
Yeah, I love those games. I love doing impossible tricks and combos that I couldn't do once again in real life.
Like skateboarding on telephone wires.
Like an
Yes.
ollie is what I mean.
Or just getting on the board at all.
You're getting on board for longer than 5 seconds.
It's a challenge.
Oh,
Brent?
Oh, I didn't have a clever transition like your New Jersey one. I had to look up the definition of anthropomorphic, but because my game, it's called Black and White, and I think you guys don't know anything about this, but it came out in 2001, all right, on the PC, and it was developed by Lionhead Studios, who also did the Fable games. Have you heard of Fable?
Yeah.
all right. R.I.P. to Lionhead.
Yes, actually, Fable was a pretty good one too.
I was
Anyways,
about to say, I want to
Yeah.
change mine to Fable.
Black and White, basically, you played a fictional god who, basically, you're given an island of people to rule over, and you were given a pet, basically, to represent yourself. And it was an anthropomorphic animal of your choosing. And it started out as this cute little animal. And basically, based on the way you treated your believers, your people, if you gave them food, you could grow grains of rice and make sure they're fed and make sure they were well taken care of. Your animal would be on the good alignment, and he'd grow white hair and look like really angelic. So if you had an angelic cow, you could choose a cow. It was really cool. Or you could choose a monkey. They'd look really like they came straight from heaven. If you chose a bad path, and anytime your villagers did something wrong, you could do like lightning bolts on them and kill them, and set examples of other villages, and like set fireballs, people on fire. Your animal would turn into an evil version. And so it was just this really cool simulation / strategy. You could build armies and send them to fight other towns, and the other towns would have their own gods watching over them, and so you'd have big animal fights. And so like that sounds crazy, but like it was really cool, and I literally came home every day playing that game. And the sequel came out in 2005, and that was the last game of this series. But it was really cool. It was really unique. It was kind of like those Total War games. I don't know if you guys have heard of those, in the way of building armies and then sending them to battle. It was but you had a giant creature also helping you fight. So that was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Two things I learned in this video podcast today is, one, Brent has a god complex, and two, he is for animal fighting. So
Yeah.
Watch out, PETA.
I ain't going back.
Well, I think that's a great way to close out our show today. In the future, we would love to hear from you guys and see if you guys have any questions, and they can go into Cameron's question of the day next week. And
Yes.
if you have some, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at the Slurp TV, or by emailing us. That is going to be, we're going to have to use that. That's going to be like our transition for everything. Or by emailing us at theslurp.tv@gmail.com. And please join us next week when we are back for episode 2. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Blah blah.
Bye-bye now.
Oh my
You
gosh.
guys seen Toy Story?
All right.
Okay, that's enough.